Item 10C, adopt a resolution accepting the advanced water meter Phase 1 project as complete and authorizing the filing of notice of completion with the San Mateo County Recorder's Office.
Honorable Mayor, members of council, tonight's presentation, I'll be providing information for the completed advanced water meter project and also discuss some of the added customer service benefits and finally provide information for the acceptance of the project as complete. And I have to confess that will let you know that tonight's presentation is not what I would like for it to be. My partner, Joanne Ryan, who I wanted to have this presentation with, obviously isn't here. Joanne was an active and engaged, important, and very vocal partner in this project and was very proud of the tools that her and her staff were able to bring to bear as part of this project. And without her involvement, it wouldn't have been as successful as it was, quite frankly. I'm kind of honoring her tonight by wearing this pink tie because she told me once I look good in pink, so she may have just been being nice. Anyway, this project, as you may recall, replaced all of the city of San Bruno's approximately 11,000 water meters. Actually, it was 10,511 meters that we ended up replacing as part of this project. This project was needed because the existing meters were 20 years old and replaced a system. Oh, you got it, all right. Replaced a system that required the meters to be read manually, and some of the limitations of the old system were often that customers had water line breaks, and I know we had to come to council sometimes for those adjustments, and went unnoticed, and the customers received a huge bill. The successful implementation and completion of this project has eliminated the need for this manual reading and has greatly reduced the pattern of complaints and frustration from citizens about the water loss and the large bills that would often result. The new system has drastically improved the tracking of water usage, and the identification of potential issues for customers. We're being proactive, and this provides numerous advantages for both the customers and for city staff. The advanced meter system allows for the remote monitoring and tracking of water usage. I'll talk about that in a little bit, by customers and staff. And again, we can be proactive, and we can also troubleshoot the system and provide better customer service with our operations staff out in the field. So the key parts of this project included the installation of 4 antennas and associated equipment that were kind of the backbone of the system. And these antennas receive the data from the water meters and then make it available in our system for the billing, customer service, and the system analysis that we utilize. The replacement of the meters included the development of the scheduling and the notification, coordination with utility billing, to ensure that we not only communicate with our customers about the replacements and when they would be replaced, but that the data would be available for our staff to make sure the bills were on time and accurate. One of the most important parts of this project was the overall management, the coordination, and the inspection processes we put in place to ensure that the replacements were done correctly and that the meter data was integrated into the billing system quickly and efficiently. To achieve this, we implemented a very detailed and comprehensive process that included photographing each meter before, during, and after the installation. We matched up the meter numbers with the accounts to make sure the billing was accurate and that the meter that we thought was in the ground attached to a customer was actually true and accurate. That took a lot of time and effort. The data was verified by the project manager from an engineering firm for accuracy and to, again, assure that the meter replacements were done correctly to our standards, and that the data was also correctly being received by the system, by the antennas, and coming through the utility billing system correctly. We met weekly to address the scheduling and coordination, along with reviewing the installations, the billing, and any training issues we had, because we had to learn as this process got implemented, and utility billing staff did an awesome job of just going with all the changes and making sure it worked. Prior to the replacements, we discovered that many of the meter boxes needed to be cleaned to accommodate the removal and replacement of the meter. And the ground was really hard and took a lot of time, but our staff did a great job getting this work done so the contractor could then come in right behind us and replace the meters. And sometimes we were only a week or two in front of them, but again, our staff did a great job. And also during the replacements, the contractor encountered many of the old pipes that the director mentioned briefly, valves and boxes and things that are just really, really old that caused the contractor quite a challenge. Some of the failures that were due to the contractor's negligence, maybe being a little bit too hard on the systems, and we were able to negotiate with them. We got credited back for the times where they maybe took a little bit too much of a strong hand. I think I have a picture of that. Sorry, I don't. Well, many of the other failures were just due to corrosion in old pipes. And our staff, we made the determination at the beginning of this project that our customers wouldn't suffer any outages more than we had to. So our staff were able to get on site and make the corrections. Oftentimes, the customer side of the meter was defective or corroded, and we went ahead and fixed it. A lot of other jurisdictions leave it to the customer if it's on the customer side. We didn't want to inconvenience our customers any more than we needed to. So that took, again, quite an effort for us to do, but we were able to get people back in service very, very quickly. And finally, because our project went so well, we have other agencies that came to visit us. Hillsborough was one that totally changed their project, their scope, and their approach because of the lessons that we learned. I've spoken to many agencies on the phone, and we've actually been invited to speak at a national conference to share our project. It turns out it's been pretty unique for not only the company that we got the meters from, but other folks in agencies that are trying to figure out how to pull the project off of this size and complexity. And one of the things I'm most proud of is the utility billing coordination with us. And a lot of times that doesn't happen. The project's done from sort of an infrastructure standpoint and not a comprehensive point of view, but both the director and the city manager made sure that we looked at all angles for this project before we implemented it. So some of the ways we're using the new capability, we have leak detection capability with this project, as we discussed when you folks approved it. And we have it set up so if any water meter in the system runs water for a 48-hour period and uses 2 cubic feet an hour, which is about 15 gallons, it will automatically send an email to myself, to utility billing, to our water services manager, and we can go out and put a door hanger on, knock on someone's door and say, you might have a leak, we're not sure, but notify them, and that's been huge for us. We've been able to do that with quite a few folks, and they've been very appreciative. The other thing that's been great is that we've been able to save people a lot of money. We were spending a lot of money with high bills. And one of the common things that happened before in the old system and even now, the difference is a customer comes in and very frustrated. They may have a high bill and they want to know why. What's going on? My bill was X last month or 2 months ago, and now it's really high. I haven't changed a thing. And our customer service staff can literally have them look at the screen and say, well, it looks like on this date your water just shot up and you maybe have a sprinkler, and they've gotten really good about diagnosing what's going on by looking at the graph and seeing what the water use is doing, whether it's a leaky toilet or maybe a sprinkler or just a constant leak. And we've had a customer, when Joanne was here actually, that came in and said that upset about the bill, and they looked at the system and they said, well, at 3 in the morning you've got a huge usage and it looks like a sprinkler. And the guy was pretty sure that he didn't have his sprinklers on, and he went home, came back in and said, I really apologize. I had a broken sprinkler head, and somehow my sprinkler system got reset, and within, I think, 4 or 5 days, he noticed it and came in on his bill, but we caught it pretty early. So we've been able to help people out in a proactive way. Our customer service folks in operations side can go out with a laptop. Before, they would go out and just say, we're not sure what's going on. Now they can do the same thing. They can show the customer on the laptop what they're seeing and sort of helping them out. Maybe it's a toilet, maybe it's a sprinkler, maybe it's a leak in the ground someplace. It's constant. But we're able to do that. It's been very helpful. And then the other thing that has been great is customers can help themselves, and I wanted to remind council and those watching is on the city's main page, there's a water customer portal link. You can create your own account, and right now we have 458, I think, customers that have set up accounts, and we get calls fairly often about how to set up the account and some of those other things, or how to do alerts. You can set up alert if you know how much water you typically use. You can set a threshold, and it will send you a email or text message and let you know if you've gone over, which might indicate a leak. And this is just, again, some instructions that are on the city's website. It's pretty easy. You have to have your bill and look at the last billed amount. And then finally, the actual graph that folks can look at to see their usage. And again, if there's some strange usage going on, they can kind of pinpoint. If it's 2 in the morning and they don't use water, it may be a toilet or something like that. And so that's really good thing for the customers to do, and they've been pretty excited about it. So, and while this project was budgeted for $5.1 million, total expenses for this project ended up being $4,736,858, which I'm happy to say was $363,142 below the budget. These funds will be returned to the Water Capital Fund and be used for other water projects, as the director indicated earlier. The next phase of this project will include the 900 commercial meters that we have, and once we get those done, the system will be all together and integrated. We've gone out for proposals for this next phase and received proposals this week, and we'll be reviewing those and planning our next steps and be back to council hopefully in a future upcoming meeting and get that project underway. And for tonight, a staff recommendation is for council to adopt a resolution accepting the advanced water meter phase 1 project as complete and authorizing the filing of notice of completion with the San Mateo County Recorder's Office. And I'm available for any questions you might have.
Nice report. Any questions for Jim or staff? Marty?
Thank you for the report. So I wasn't on the council when this project was approved, so I'm going to abstain when it comes down to voting to accept it. I do have a couple questions, just clarifications. So replacing the water meters that were over 30 or over, I'm looking at the resolution itself that of the meters that were installed in 1993. So those meters that aren't that old, they remain in place, or they have been all replaced?
They've all been replaced because in 1993 they did a wholesale changeover just like this. So all the meters got replaced in 1993 at the same time.
Okay, so for like Summerhill and Marisol, the new developments, they also got brand new meters as well? Okay. For the usage of that water meter reader, it was one person that was absorbed back into the department, and that person now is performing the functions of a maintenance worker?
Correct.
Okay. So how many times has the customer been informed that, hey, there's a leak? Just roughly an estimated number, since once a week, twice a week, 10 a month?
I don't have those numbers, but I know I personally talk to probably 5 people, 6 people a month. Okay. And that's just because utility billing is kind of busy and I'll get the overflow.
Okay.
But in talking with them, it happens quite often.
Okay. So the meters that have been installed, what has been your experience on how many of them are malfunctioning, and if they malfunction, are they easily repaired, or are they under warranty, or how does that work?
So the meters and the endpoints, because they're kind of a dual system, they have a warranty of 20 years, battery life and also functionality. We had some failures right off the bat because of the endpoint has to be activated, sort of programmed and turned on, and some of them didn't accept the program, or it didn't program all the way. And we can find that in the system. When we log on to the system, it'll tell us we have 98% of the meters reporting in and everything's fine. And after a few days, we've actually sent crews out where we've got a meter that's out in the field that's not sending the data the right way, and we'll know it, and we'll go correct it. But we probably had less than 2%
Okay.
of the meters that had issues.
Okay. So just so I understand, you had a contract with Golden State for 4.1 million plus, and a contingency for 621,000 plus for the contract to Golden State. So the other charges that are listed here, the 88,000, 81,000, 49, 84, it would be my understanding that anything over $25,000 needs to be approved by the city council. So the question then is, the contract that Golden State has is for a certain amount. If they're not being paid by that contract, if they're not being paid that amount, I don't think we could really be paying these other subcontractors through that money. That money should be paid through the person who we awarded the contract to. Make any sense?
I'm not sure so there were subcontractors to Golden State, and so there were a number of services provided under the Golden State contract. I'm not sure which.
I'm looking at the list that's in the staff report.
Mm-hmm.
So contracted water service repairs for 88,000, materials for service repairs 81,000, concrete repairs 26,000, temporary labor 49,000. City staff, we don't need to do that because that's just absorbed through the contract. And equipment rental for 34,000. So if the money isn't being funneled through the contract that was awarded to Golden State, then these other items are interesting expenditures. So maybe the city attorney could provide some analysis of my question.
I'm not sure what the question is, and let me just finish. I'm not familiar with the contract other than what you have in the staff report. So if there's additional information about which contractors were paid for what and how, and whether they were paid separately or under the Golden State contract, I think staff would come back with that information. But
Right.
we don't have that information tonight.
That's basically the gist of it, that if we had a $500,000 contract to ABC Company, and we have a contingency for an X amount for ABC Company, and the council approves that contract, that money has to go to the ABC Company. Anything over $25,000 that is being paid directly to the subcontractors would need to come back to the council since it exceeds the 25,000 limit by the city manager. That's my statement, and just confirming if that's correct. And maybe we can come back to it, but.
Yeah, if you could let us take a look. In some of these cases, just looking at the list that's in the staff report, it looks like those are aggregated costs of probably a number of different equipment rentals, for example. I'm imagining that's not a singular expenditure. I understand what you're saying, and I think we need to have the opportunity to take a
Sure.
look at this and to evaluate that further.
And my last question is city staff project management. It's amazing that for $12,000. And I'm wondering that maybe someone didn't charge their time to the project, they charged their time to whatever else it was. But when I worked here, when you're assigned to a project, you charge every hour to that project that you're working on. So if you're having a project engineering meeting, the engineers would charge their time to the project. The inspectors that went out would charge their time to the project. And $12,000 for almost 11,000 meters is really, really low for the amount of inspection that I'm anticipating to see. So I'm questioning, either you guys are doing something amazingly great, or maybe there's some accounting error that number seems extremely low. And maybe we're not appropriately charging projects like we should be so that we can really capture the cost of that project. I'm sorry, and really the last one is I did receive an inquiry about the payment of overtime for this project, and I understand city crews, as explained in the oral part of your report, the city crews had to go out there and prepare the boxes to get them set up and redo the repairs. But for the usage of overtime on this project, maybe you can explain a little bit of how overtime was authorized for this project.
So one of the things we had to do was get the boxes clean in time for the contractor to get going on the project. And if we would have only done box cleaning during working hours, during the days, and not on the weekends, we would have been in their way, and we wouldn't have been able to get the project done. So we had to do that. The second part of that is when there were problems on the customer side, for example, if there was a curb stop that broke, we didn't just close up for the day and go home.
Right, you would make sure they get
Right.
returned to service.
And we had quite a few failures, so and those two things in combination accounts for the overtime. We didn't want to do the overtime. It was a necessity to get it done, so.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions for staff?
Through the chair, am I understanding from the city manager that obviously Mr. Medina, Councilmember Medina, had a lot of questions? Are we saying we need time to get some of those answers and come back, city manager, or? I mean, there was a lot of information that just went through, and I know that nothing's all right there. So
I think we answered all of the questions except for the one regarding that, what I indicated needed time was to answer the question regarding the specifics of amounts that are over $25,000 in a particular category in the chart that's in your staff report. The other questions, I believe, that were responded to.
Because are you in fact asking if the contract's with ABC contractor, that the ABC contractor can't sub out under that agreement? I guess I'm trying to understand I understand about the cap of the 25,000. That's a correct statement, but I'm trying to understand within the bigger picture here.
It's my understanding that a contractor can sub out their work, but the money still has to be paid to the prime contractor, which in this case would be ABC. It couldn't be paid out to XYZ, and so the money that is being spent out here, item 4, 88,000, that should be included in the payment to the prime contractor, not the sub. We have a contract with the prime contractor, being Golden State. We don't have a contract with all the other people. We would have to get city manager approval under 25, and it would have to come to the council for above 25. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I think that better explains it for me. And I guess I'm just trying to understand what's been the practice. I mean, this is not the first project we've had, so there's got to be a process or a precedent that we do and we have practices on. So that's why I know we need time specifically, but I'm saying generally.
The way that the council members described it is typically the way, that is the policy and the practice of the city. This particular contract included a variety of different items. It included procurement of the materials. It included the installation of the materials, and much of the checking and inspection part of it that the council member was talking about earlier as well. I think the specific question relates to those items that were not within the contracted amount of $4.315 million.
And it is fair to say the work has been done, and obviously we've incurred these costs. So the bills have been paid.
That's correct.
Is there monies being held now because we haven't approved this?
So there's the normal contract retention amount, I believe, or has that been paid as well? No, can you explain that?
There's no retention held for this project.
Okay.
Okay.
So that you're just looking for clarification, Marty, as to the procedure?
Right.
Mike, okay.
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, any other questions or action by the council on this item?
I'd like to make a comment. I understand Councilmember Marty Medina's questions. However, I think the project itself was fantastically done. It was very impressive. It was seamless. I know one day I had noticed that what was happening at my house, I went away, I came back, it was done, it was clean. I didn't even notice you guys had come and gone, and it was great. And I think the fact that it not only helps the city with its billing and keeping track of the water consumption, but every single individual who has a water account can figure out what they're doing. It's really fascinating. People, if you haven't done it, do it, because you can see where your kid's taking a 20-minute shower, and you can see how long, who washes the dishes better and uses less water. I mean, it's all kind of spelled out there. It's really fascinating. So I think as a service to everybody, it's a job well done. It's a project that I'm very happy that we've accomplished, and I'm extremely proud that you all have done it the way you did and have gotten the recognition nationally that you are getting. So are you going to the conference?
My 30th anniversary is that week, so
So where's your priority?
I'm on the fence.
Where is the conference? Maybe you could,
The conference is in Dallas, Texas.
Oh.
But I guess the good news is our information's been shared with other folks, and like I said, Hillsborough, who I think they're done with their project now. They came to visit us 3 different times, utility billing side and also operations, and like I said, completely changed their approach to their project, and so they say has been a huge success because some of the things they were able to do on the front end. So, and like I said, I can't say enough about our staff, not only the operations group, but also utility billing, and they continue to utilize the system and learn more all the time. So, thank you.
It's fascinating. So, and also, I'm sorry I didn't make a comment before with your other report. Anybody who doesn't get a chance, anybody who gets a chance should look at those pipes that are a sample of the kind of pipes that we are replacing. And maybe we could even display them in City Hall so people get an idea.